All right, why don't we go ahead and get started. Thank you everyone for joining us this week and today as we kick off our Madden LIV Golf Virginia event. This is our first event in the US and we're extremely excited to be back on home soil. My name's Ilana Finley. I'm the Chief Communications Officer here at LIV Golf, and I'm honored to be joined by our CEO, Scott O'Neill. Scott, welcome.
Thank you.
So, LIV Golf has entered a journey of transition, and we know there's an immense interest in the league and our business, and we wanted to take this opportunity to speak directly to you, share a little bit more insight about what's going on, how we think about this moment, how we think about the future, and provide a little bit more insight from Scott directly. Before we get started, just 2 items of housekeeping. I do want to assure you that we will open up to questions after this, so not to worry. And also, we're going to aim to be as transparent as possible. Scott's going to answer as many questions as he possibly can. There might be some topics that we can't cover, so we will be clear about that when that is the case.
But this is the largest media room we've had. I mean, it's very cavernous.
Beautiful. Yes, it's beautiful. But otherwise, with that, we'll dive into it. So Scott, safe to say the last few weeks have been dynamic. How you doing?
Well, thank you. Thank you all for coming. Before we do get started, though, this is Mother's Day this weekend on Sunday. And so for all of those of you who are mothers, I wanted to wish you a happy Mother's Day. For those of you who have a mother, which hopefully is most of us in this room, I would invite you to take just 30 seconds now and send your mom a text, and I'm serious. Pull your phones out. I would love for you to text your mom something beautiful and something special, something meaningful, some note you learned from her, some lesson she taught you, some impact you had. Just take 30 seconds now, and I will wait. It's more powerful than you could possibly imagine. Some of you are not typing, and I'm looking at you. Okay, I'm going to share. My mom had a really big impact on my life. She taught leadership development and design all over the world. So she worked with Xerox and Texaco and ADP. It took her from the US to the UK to Africa. And she was a very influential person in my life. And I remember as a young boy, her telling me a story which I wanted to share, which I think is a good lead into what we're going to talk about today. She talked about these 2 shoe salesmen that went to a new market. And when they showed up, nobody was wearing shoes. And so one of the salesmen immediately sent back a note to his boss, said, "Boss, no business here, on my way home." And the other salesman had a very different perspective. He said, "Boss, you're not going to believe it. This market's incredible." And I think for me, I'm that second shoe salesman right now, quite frankly. I think I find myself energized, excited, happy, feeling a bit of pressure for sure, and very grateful for this opportunity, for the team I get to work with. Many of you are here today. It's the most talented group of people I've ever had the chance to work with. And so to have this chance in this business to be able to reset and create something special, something lasting, and a real business is something I will tell you, like I am popping out of bed in the morning, I am sleeping a lot less, and running very hard.
So I think that's a great place to begin. Let's take a step back. You walked into this role about 18 months ago. Talk us through what you saw and what opportunity you set out to prove with this business.
Well, there are really 2 things if you bifurcate competition and business. The competition I fell in love with. I fell in love with the players on the markets. I think the team format is transformational. We see what the Ryder Cup and the impact that has, and the impact the President's Cup used to have when it had all the best players in the world playing in it, and certainly the impact of team golf on college golf. But to see it repeated in these markets, and to see the impact that it's having in markets like Australia, where we had 115,000 people, in South Africa, where we had 100,000 people, and the UK, where we had 60,000 people last year, and I'm hoping for a bit more this year. And Indy had 60,000 people last year, and so you start to feel that movement that the teams are catching on, and whether that's the nationalist movement, where you see the Southern Guards, all the Southern Guards gear and hats in South Africa, or all the Ripper stuff in Australia, or the Korean Golf Club in Korea, or Torquay stuff in Mexico City, is pretty special. So on the team side, that struck me. The players as partners is something that doesn't exist in the world of sports. And I've been in several sports leagues in the NFL, the NBA, and NHL. I've been around professional athletes for the last 30 years of my life, and I've never been around a group of more remarkable men who believe in the mission to grow the game of golf around the world, who are willing to get on a plane and travel and make it happen, who stand for hours in the blazing heat after a brutal round and spending time with you guys. And I'm talking your biggest stars, your John Rahms, your Bryson DeChambeau's, signing autographs for hours. Like, this is a group that's committed. And I saw like the impact they're having, not only on growing the game, and we've seen every market we're in, the game is growing around the world, but also how we're growing young talent here. And so I think from a game standpoint, I've been really happy. From an ecosystem standpoint, that was the biggest surprise to me. There was a lot of, angst and a lot of discord and a lot of frustration, and a lot of that's been washed away. And part of it is because our mission is so clear, and that's to grow the game of golf around the world. And part of it is for us going door to door. And probably the biggest part is the openness that I've found, the doors that have been opened from the four majors and golf tours around the world, and the federations, and everybody's saying, like, we understand the impact and influence that you're having, and we are coming in now as partners. And so I think that's been a really nice welcome surprise. And then on the business side, it's just been, I have never seen momentum like this. I mean, it's only 18 months ago I walked in. We moved from 450 million homes to over 1 billion homes in television distribution. Like, the year before I got there, I think we were doing like 1.7 million viewers per weekend. Then it moved to 3.3 million. Australia had 5.5 million viewers. And if you benchmark that against Formula One, which is how we benchmark global viewership, not national, but global. Formula One's still like 9, 10, 11 million. But if we keep this trajectory, it's a really, like, and television distribution is great. From a marketing partner side, when I walked in, it was a really small base, no true global partners. And remember, this league it's very unique in that it's a global league. And so other than Formula One, there's not really anywhere else for partners to go if they have a global business and they want global impact. And so there you see Rolex and HSBC and Salesforce and Qualcomm, and then we had the endemics like Ping and Callaway come on, and you start thinking, it's going to be quite a business. And then I was told repeatedly when I first started, well, you'll never sell tickets in the U.S. And then we saw 60,000 sold in Indy, 50 in Dallas, 45 in Chicago, and 43 in Detroit. And I thought, I think there's some real business for this business. And it didn't mean we didn't have to make changes, and we certainly I knew very quickly that we were going to have to right-size this business. And now we find ourselves in that spot. But I will tell you, from a golf standpoint, very, very happy. From a player standpoint, I've never experienced anything like have players as a partners. And from a business standpoint, the momentum is pretty special.
So you basically laid out what sounds like an incredible foundation: competition, players, great connection to the ecosystem, incredible business momentum. Let's talk about this moment that we're in right now. What's it like to have to lead a company through a period of transition and a period that we're in this moment?
Yeah, well, I'm not very well known in the golf world, but if you talk to folks in basketball or football or hockey, you'll know that when my phone rings, it's usually not that everything is going really well and we'd like you to be a status quo leader. So when my phone rings, it's usually an opportunity for transformation or turnarounds or hypergrowth. So this moment, like for me, and I understand uncertainty is difficult for some people. And I understand that not knowing what tomorrow brings can be a challenge. This is 100% what I love to do, okay? This moment. Like everybody is meant for a certain thing in their life. I believe this is what I am meant for. Like I love this moment. And what I love about it is there's nothing more special in pulling a team together than pressure. It's how diamonds are created. There's nothing that can get you charged up and popping out of bed in the morning than knowing that everything you do, every call you make, every text you send, every email you respond to actually has a real substantive impact on where we're heading. And I will tell you, like, my energy has not been this high since I started. So I'm feeling good. I feel an appropriate amount of pressure, which I hope we all do here. I'm feeling like inspired, and I feel like we have a clear path to a win.
Let's talk a little bit about where we go from here. As you think about our path forward, resetting the business plan, engaging players on a new model, just talk us through those steps and what that looks like.
Yeah, well, I'd invite you to think about like a time in your life where you were feeling pressure. It could be a deadline. It could be something with your family. It could be something with a sports team you played on. And that certainly crystallizes your priorities and your ways of working. For us, the priorities are really clear. First and foremost, we need to get the players settled, on board, and focusing on golf. That's first and foremost. Secondly, we have to create a plan that's a business plan. A business that works from a business standpoint, from a profit and loss standpoint, like every other business in the world. And we're well on our way to that. And then thirdly, and maybe more importantly, you know, and I've been blessed with this my entire life, is you surround yourself with smart, talented, experienced people. For us, they came in the form of 2 new board members, Gene Davis and John Zinman. Gene has been through 350 of these. How about that? So when we're on a call, and I talk to John and Gene a couple times a day, sometimes more, and I will tell you, having experienced directors that understand the situation we're in, can work with urgency, pace, are very directive, are incredible sounding boards, couldn't be happier. We brought in Alex Partners, which is an advisor, financial advisor. So in terms of tuning our business plan to make this a business, outstanding. In terms of pushing, prodding, making sure that we have the longest runway we can possibly have, extraordinary advisors. Gibson Dunn's been a long-time partner of ours, our law firm. We shifted to a different group with them. Outstanding counsel. And lastly, with Ducera Partners, Mike Kramer is the CEO. In my history, when I was working for Josh Harris and David Blitzer, we bought the Devils through him. I've known him for quite some time. Extraordinary banker, extraordinary person, works at pace, really creative in terms of raising money and doing deals. And so you take that combination and put that with this extraordinary team I get to work with every single day, and I'm lifted. And so I understand where some of your emotions are. Mine are in a can-do. Let's get the plan set. Let's surround ourselves with extraordinary talent, and let's get after it.
So we talked about the team that we've brought in, the work that they're doing. Have you received any response or feedback to the reset thus far? And how confident are you feeling that we still have an opportunity here as we move forward?
Yeah. So did you say sponsor, or you mean investor?
Response so far to the work that we're doing with our advisors.
Yeah, it's early. Like I wish you know, if this were 2 weeks later, I think this meeting would be quite different because I'd probably throw a PowerPoint up and show you where we're heading. And unfortunately, just in the process, won't be able to do that. I had a dozen inbound calls this weekend, and inbounds from potential investors. That's good news, you know. And so it was a split between private equity, family office, and then your traditional like high net worth. You probably know who they are, the guys who invest in sports and sports teams. So that's been really positive. And we need our media partners to stay with us. You know, we're in broadcast in over 200 countries. It's very important that those 40 partners stay with us, so we're talking to them. We're talking to our marketing partners, several of whom I mentioned. They're on board. It's really good. So I feel like, look, it's still early. We haven't gotten to market yet. We haven't finalized our business plan. We still are like picking and prodding, but we have a good sense at this point, you know, 10 days in, we know where we're going, and now we're just going to tighten the screws.
So I want to dive into a little bit more about, I know the business plan is evolving. I'd love to hear you talk about where you see the value coming in from this plan. You often talk about sports as an incredible asset right now.
Yeah, you know, my whole career, I would sit in a room like this, and I'd always be like the young guy, and now I'm the old guy. It's a really interesting situation to look around and see so many young faces. But I came into the business in the early 90s. I came in as a marketing assistant. So I literally taking dictation. This is pre-internet, the cell phones were this big back then. That's how old I am, okay? And I remember starting, and the Utah Jazz sold for $13 million. Can you imagine if you invested in that business at $13 million, Utah Jazz? Ryan Smith bought the team, I believe, for $1.8 billion 5 years ago. I then went to the Philadelphia Eagles. Jeff Lurie had bought the team. He still owns it. He bought it for $188 million. People said he had lost his mind. Okay, this is 1994. They had lost his mind. I believe he sold a piece of that business for over $8 billion last year. The NWSL, some of you may not even know what that is. It's a National Women's Soccer League, American soccer for women. Bob Iger, very successful businessman, bought the LA team for $450 million. Joe Tsai, owns the Brooklyn Nets, also just sold off a piece of the Liberty, the New York Liberty, a women's WNBA team, for reportedly around $500 million. So if you ask me where the value of this business is, it's in the teams. So if you're looking for direction, we believe that teams will have extraordinary value. And we believe that once we set the business in the right direction, with the right trajectory, with the right revenue base and cost base, which we're well on our way to doing, that these teams will have extraordinary value. And that's where, if you're an investor and you're listening to this or reading this, that's where you're going to get your value.
I'd love to come back to the players. You talked earlier about them as our business partners and the critical role they play in this process. Dive into that a little bit more. How are they involved? What conversations have you been having?
So we'll be spending a lot of time with them today and this week. It's so nice to have an event week schedule that's regular, and in a league where the stars show up every week, which is really unique in golf and quite a competitive advantage, I believe. But I'd say I've gotten 5 or 6 direct leads from them to talk to family offices and private equity. I don't think there's another sport in the world that could deliver that in the first week, unsolicited, okay? We have quite a bit of feedback in and around the business plan. Remember, some of our players have been around this game a long time, and they are powerhouses, and they're media entities in and of themselves. Several of our more experienced captains have offered to come on private equity presentations with me. Where is that happening in the world? I mean, I have to tell you, like it cannot be undersaid. It cannot be undersold. The impact that these players have on the world of golf, on LIV Golf, and on me is immeasurable.
Maybe this is where we can start to address some of the elephants in the room. There's been a lot of speculation about players pursuing other options? Are you worried that they're going to leave?
I have so much to say on this topic, and I'm going to keep this short because I'm under direction too. But I will tell you this. One of the beauties of LIV Golf, the thing I enjoy most about it is that we are for golf. We always have been, and we always will be. Our players, we commit them to 14 weeks. They come and play. They know exactly the weeks they're expected to play. They show up, and they play. If another tour is open for them to play, that's 14 weeks out of 52. That's 38 weeks. So if you want to see the best players in the world playing together more often, no problem. Let's do it on the other 38 weeks. Like, it's such a special opportunity. I feel like the opportunity, the chance, the gift we've been given here at LIV Golf is that we have players who will travel the world. And that is a gift to the game.
Let's talk a little bit about our partners and sponsors.
I don't think I answered your question properly. I apologize. So do I believe that when we have a business plan and we raise money, that this is the place players will choose? I do. I know these players. I know their caddies. I know their spouses, their girlfriends, partners. I know their kids. And this is a place that golfers want to play. This is a really, really special community, and it's different. In the most important sport in the world, it's also the loneliest sport in the world. And this is a place where you show up like family. And so I have a lot of confidence that this is a place players want to be.
So we've talked about the critical role players play in this process. Let's talk about our partners and sponsors. What are some of the conversations you've been having with them?
As you'd imagine, this is a business. It's very, very different from other sports. This is a top-to-top business. I've said this before about golf, but the most important people in the world play golf. It's world leaders. That's CEOs of companies. In fact, I just read 90% of the Fortune 500 CEOs play golf. And so oftentimes these relationships we have with these incredible partners of ours are top to top. And so it's very, very easy and simple to pick up the phone and call the heads of our top partners. And I have. And the conversations have been extraordinary, as you might expect. Supportive. Almost anyone who's been in business for a minute has been through the peaks and the valleys and then the peaks again. And the one thing that I've been comforted through and by is just this notion of this community that's been created, and part of that community is these sponsors. So I'm very, very confident.
And those are league sponsors, team sponsors, broadcast partners?
Yep.
Can you talk a little bit about a timeline that we might be working toward, and what's the runway to get this done?
Yeah, so I won't speak to specific timing other than to say that you'll find urgency here. You'll find pace. You'll find less sleep, more action. And our first step is what we have to do is lock this plan down. Because once we lock the plan down, then we go to market. And that's when the fun starts.
Maybe another elephant in the room. We talked earlier about bringing in advisors who are experienced in building financial plans, business plans, even restructuring. Is that something that we're thinking about right now?
I mean, we have these advisors, like we're locked in on going to market with a plan. Like this is transaction, transaction, transaction. That's what I wake up thinking about. That's what I go to sleep thinking about. That's what I think about when I'm eating. Like that's what I think about when I'm on the golf course. That's what I thought about when I was walking beautiful Trump National out here. And it's like this is our 100% of my time, our time is focused on driving to a transaction. Can I just say what I didn't say up front is just a thank you to Eric Trump and Larry Glick and the incredible team at Trump National. I'd be remiss if I didn't say this is our 8th visit to a Trump course, and it's indisputable. I mean, the service is extraordinary. The courses are always in world-class condition. And this course, specifically situated on the Potomac, is picturesque. It is beautiful. And if you haven't taken a little stroll out to 14 and seen that par 3 on the water, please do so today. I mean, this is an extraordinary organization, an extraordinary course, and we're thrilled to be here.
Well said. Just a couple questions and then a couple more, and we'll open it up to the group. What role will the PIF have moving forward? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, they own the majority of the business now, and they've agreed to fund through the season, as they've said. So that nothing there has changed.
Are you talking to other tours?
You know, I think I alluded to this before. I'll just to be more specific. It's like, you know, as you might expect in a role like mine, this is what we do as a matter of fact and as a matter of course of business, whether that be at the majors. We're in Aronimink. It's my backyard, if you're going to be there. I've spent the last 20 plus years in Philadelphia. It's a beautiful course. I think it's going to be an extraordinary event. And and we get to see many of our friends there. And that's the guys from the majors, the other tours, the federations. Like, the golf ecosystem seems to rally around the big events, and that's where I spend most of my time. So am I speaking to members of the ecosystem? Almost every day.
So last one before I pass off to Alan. What are you most excited about as you think about this period ahead?
In these jobs we have, they come with a lot of pressure, a lot of time away from your family. It comes from a lot of work, all of which I accept and love. But these moments, like not this particular one with you guys, although I do love you, these moments when you get to the course, and when that shotgun starts on Thursday, that for me, like, that's what I look forward to. Like, there's something really magical and special and different about these events. They make me smile. They're fun. Seeing kids at a golf tournament, it matters. Seeing our players engage, it matters. You're talking some of the best golfers in the world, extraordinary business people, and yet they understand their role in growing this game. And so that for me is like, that's what I'm most looking forward to. The other stuff is business. Like, again, I've been doing this for a long time, and I love it. And and I hope you do too. I hope I'm speaking to my team here, and a lot of them are in the back, because this is why we do what we do. And yes, we're going to have to change some things we do, of course. And yes, we've already made some changes. And that should bring you a level of excitement. It should bring you a level of calm. It should bring you, like, hopefully, the excitement to bring it up a gear. Because when you get that rush in a business, and I have it right now, that's when you know you're in the right place with the right people at the right time.
Thank you, Scott. Alan?
All right, thank you. We'll open up to the floor. If media can please raise their hand, and we'll bring a microphone. Just introduce yourself, please. Start with Mark.
Scott, Mark Schlabach with ESPN. You talked about right-sizing the business. How do you do that, given reportedly burning through, I think, $100 million a month? Do you look at reducing purses this year to keep it alive for next year potentially?
I definitely will not be talking through specifics of the plan, but it's a playbook that won't surprise too many people once you see it. And we have a good runway through this season, fortunately. And it's for next year that we're going to be making some pretty significant substantive changes. It's all stuff you've heard from me. If you can piece together what I've said over the last 6 months, there won't be too much surprise in terms of what you find.
James?
Hi, Scott. Hi, James Corrigan from The Telegraph. Sergio said, after the news came out, or when the rumblings were happening, that you told them that Yasser had promised you money or guaranteed funding through 2030. How much of a shock was it when you found out that wasn't the case?
Okay, I just didn't understand the question. So you said Sergio said that I said?
Yeah.
Um,
You told the players that the funding was guaranteed to 2030.
So, surprise, was I surprised? You know, I don't know, it's hard to even think about that moment, so I'd rather not comment on like how I actually felt, my emotion. I can tell you that it was very clear 18 months ago that for this to be a going concern, we were going to have to make significant and substantive changes in terms of the way we do business. Guys, remember, when my phone rings, it never is the case that everything is going well. I am not a status quo manager. I never have been. I never will be. Like, this is what I do. This is what I'm here for. And this is what brings me the most satisfaction, enjoyment, excitement. Like, this is what I'm excited to be here to do. So it would be naive to be surprised. And it would be irresponsible to be thinking anything else other than how far we have to go to make sure that we can continue to grow this game around the world.
Can I just ask one more thing?
Sure.
Just with PIF and everything, if you get investors and teams, so it was the case, I think, that PIF owns 75% of the team. So if you get investors in your team, do you have to pay PIF that money?
So likely when in a situation like this, it would be too early to be speculating on what will happen with the value creation, what our new investor or investors will be looking for, and that will all come out in the wash, if you will, in the next few weeks as we go to market. So it's a bit early for that.
Ben?
Ben Knuckles, Associated Press. You didn't deny the possibility that purses could be reduced next year. Many players have spoken about the reason they came to LIV Golf in the first place was so that they could play less often and make more money. How do you retain players if they're not going to be paid as much?
Yeah, I did not deny, nor did I commit, nor did I comment. I just want to be really clear, because in this room, I just want to make sure we're all clear that we're reporting what we're hearing and not what we're speculating on. And so what I said, just to repeat it, just so we're all clear, is I will not comment on the plan until we actually have it. But once we have it, I'm happy to share it. Our view of what got the players here, I wasn't here when most of the players came in. I have been here when players have come in, and they're coming for very different reasons. So I'd encourage you, you guys will be here, ask these guys. Ask them while they're here. Some of them, I'm sure, came for money. Others are here for very different reasons. And I appreciate that. And, you've got 57 players from 21 different countries, all looking for something in their lives, all at different phases and stages of their life. And some of them, I'm sure, are chasing money, and others are chasing fame, and others are chasing legacy and career, and others are looking for more predictability in a schedule. Others there are a whole host. Others want to travel the world and see other places and parts of the world. Others are interested in growing the game of golf. So I definitely don't want to take 57 guys and pigeonhole them into what they care about. I think that'd be irresponsible. And I believe, from what I have seen, from the men that I've had the pleasure to get to know, that this is a place where I think players will want to play.
And you mentioned that the value is in the teams, but how do you sell a team like the Cliques, for example, when you don't know what players are going to be part of that team?
Did you speak? Is this Cliques just an example, or did you have just a random example? Crushers, okay. So the way the process will typically work, and I might be getting ahead of myself, is that we are going to create a business plan. We're going to lock arms with the players. We will go to market and raise money on a league level, and then we will go and get investors and teams in that order. And so we should have the players on the team should be locked in.
Juan, front
Yes.
left.
So here, Scott.
Oh, sorry.
Right here,
Sorry
yeah.
about that.
I also wanted to be clear. I love my mother. She's a chef in Spain, and it's lunchtime now in Spain. That's why.
Did you send her a note? I didn't see you typing over
No,
there.
no, she's working. I
Ah,
told
you
you.
can still send her a
Sí,
note.
yeah, I
You
know.
can get it later.
So 2 questions. So one is, in the current reality and in the new reality, how important are the majors for LIV Golf and your players? And how important it is that your players perform well at the majors?
Well, I mean, it's the biggest stage in golf. That's clear. You know, at Augusta, we had 3 of our top 15 players in the field. And so the current system makes it a bit challenging for us to have a representative look and what I would say view of our best players playing at that time. And I believe we have 10 or 11 guys playing at the PGA Championship in Ronimick. And would I like to see that number be 20 in a field of 156? I would. You know, should it be 25? Probably. But it isn't. And we've spent 5 years on the same issue, and I appreciate that it's getting better. And I hope it continues to improve and get better. And I wish our guys the best. You know, golf is it's a funny game. You know, and you have the best players in the world. I mean, there are very few guys. John Rahm happens to be one of them, who's just extraordinarily excellent. You know, every round. But for most players, I'm talking best players in the world. There's just volatility in this game. So yeah, I hope our guys go out and play. I hope one of our guys wins, and I hope they win in dramatic fashion. It'd be a lot of fun.
And a quick follow-up, beyond the majors, in the new reality or in the new model, would you like your players to play in other tours, to play in the PGA Tour, to play in the DP World Tour?
You know what? The fun fact is that our players are always welcome to play. So as I mentioned earlier, we have them locked down for 14 out of 52 weeks a year. And so if we want to see players playing together more often, sounds good to me. I couldn't be more supportive. You know, other tours are having trouble with that very nature. I mean, one of the beauties of our model is our guys are here. You know, for those 14 weeks, we know who we have. Like fans know who's going to show up every week, and that's quite an advantage. And I imagine you'll see some shifts in the ecosystem towards more closer to that model. But we have never, since our inception, ever restricted our players. And that's from bans, from fines, not us. Nope. Go play where you want to play. We believe in free golf, free agency of golf. We believe players should play when they want and where they want, so long as they sign up for these 14. And we'll be sticking to that.
Bob?
Morning. You mentioned earlier that you've got funding through the rest of this year. Would there be any?
Bob, I think I mentioned the PIF said that.
Okay.
Just to be specific as to what I said. I believe I
Okay.
said the PIF said that we have funding through the rest of the year.
So are you able then to, for lack of a better word, hoard any of that for the future? Like, do you have to spend it all this year, or can you talk about how that might impact the future?
Yeah, again, early for us to be reporting, but we would like to extend the runway, if we can extend the runway, if that's what you mean. But that wouldn't impact players. That's more our business, and you know, there's not a person in this room that would be doing anything different than we're doing. We want to make sure that we give ourselves every opportunity to get to market, raise money, and build a spectacular business.
For you personally, are you now unencumbered in terms of decision making? And in other words, I'm guessing you obviously had people to report to at the PIF. And maybe sometimes decisions couldn't be made quickly. Can you now do it faster, so to speak, if you needed to, without that, or is that still in play?
Well, Gene Davis and John Zinman, who now are the board, they understand urgency, they understand pace, and decision making is very quick.
Oh, Barry?
Scott Barry Sverluga from The Athletic. Two quick ones. One, is PIF committed to pay out any player contracts that go beyond this year? And secondly, do you foresee any competitive format changes in 2027?
The first one, I don't even know how to think about answering. The second, competitive changes. I mean, this is again, this is my 2-year view here. Is we've changed pretty dramatically in my 2 seasons here, and I've been on the record saying that the format changes won't stop, and will continue to evolve to optimize a business. And so I would not be surprised to see continued evolution in our format.
Time for just a couple more. Rick?
Maybe going back to that, Scott, or actually the order of operations you mentioned, business plan, lock in players, go to market, achieve some investment. How does that work? How do you lock in the players before you have funding secured or know what you can tell players about what you're able to offer beyond the current season?
Well, the good news is they're all with me. They're under contract, so I have them, right? So they're here. And we have, events like this where we get to spend time. And there's no better place for them to make a living and do it within their contract than they are right here. So it works out actually really nicely. We have ongoing dialogue. We have relationships. We're very fortunate. We have several general managers in the room here. We have extraordinary executives we get to work with, and they lead and manage their players and teams. And so we've got a good order of operation here. So I'm not sure I understand the depth of the question. There are partners in this business, so it's quite different, in that we don't sit above them, we sit next to them. And so this is a for us by us league. Our competition committee actually, those competition rules that we talked about and the evolution is driven by the players. This is like self-policing going on here. This is a tour, a league that is about the players. So for us going to market, we're going to market with them. There's no daylight between what I'll know and what Bryson or John or Phil or Bubba or Cam or DJ or will know. There's no we're together. It's one.
I guess, would Bryson have a new contract before you go to market? Or would he be going to market with you without a contract to play next season?
Well, that's an interesting question. I'm not sure. We'll sort through and work through. I appreciate it. I appreciate the question. It's just Bryson's special. He's different and special. And you want to talk about a business partner. We're literally talking about the future of LIV Golf. I'm talking with him about how does he see not just the golf, but the business. He's smart, he's driven, he's committed, and he's a heck of a partner.
Mark or Bob? Bob?
Scott, you mentioned earlier that several of the players had come to you with, I guess, leads,
Yeah.
for lack of a better
Yeah,
way
it's a
of
good word.
I'm just curious, and I don't know how much you can speak to his situation, but would Phil have been involved in that at all? Obviously, given his experience, given how prominent he's been in the game, how much of a help he might be, and if you could even speak to his immediate future.
Yeah. I talked to Phil yesterday. Sorry you can't make it today. I just want to be really sensitive. We all have things going on in our lives that are personal, and his is. And I have a lot of love and respect for him as a human being, and even and certainly have respect for him as as what he's accomplished in his career. And his presence is really helpful. And so I hope he comes back soon. I will tell you that his presence is missed by, like, I miss him. I miss his presence at events. He carries a ton of weight in every room he walks. And that's not only because he's a 6-time major champion, but he's got gravitas that comes with something that's way beyond winning. And but yes, he's one of the guys helping me, of course.
Yeah, I think we need to wrap it up there. Get ready for the next press conference.
Thank you. Thank you, Scott. It's been incredibly helpful to hear you paint the picture and contextualize this moment. We heard you say we're building a plan. We have great advisors. We have a pathway to raise capital and a reason to believe. It's great. Thank you, everyone. We're going to shift our focus to competition and look forward to having an incredible week here at Trump National.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.